You're good to go.
All righty. I would like to call the meeting of the St. Louis County Board of Zoning Adjustment to order. The board members present today are Angelia Bills, Chair, Justin Randall, Vice Chair, and Vincent Nutt, Member. The Department of Planning staff members are Debbie Nesbitt, Abby Freudel, Abiola Adesana, Summer Jean, and Gretchen Arnold. Also on the call is John Burford from the County Counselor's Office. First, I'd like to offer into the record the affidavit of publication pertaining to today's meeting, January 24th, 2024. The board hereby takes official notice of and admits into evidence on the record the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance, Chapter 1003, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended, and Chapter 1004, St. Louis County Revised Ordinance 1974 as amended. Next, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the minutes of the previous BZA meeting of January 10, 2024.
I move to approve the previous board minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The motion passes. This meeting is conducted as a teleconference and is recorded. The planning staff members will read each request into the record and present technical advice to the board if needed. The petitioner will be unmuted, state their name, and make a brief presentation to the board explaining the reason and hardship for the requested variance. The board will not consider financial hardships. Board members may ask questions to clarify the facts. When the board is satisfied with the material presented, the chairperson will then ask if there is anyone in favor or opposition. I just lost my slide. I'm sorry. Is in favor or opposition to read the request. To do so, click the hand next to your name. If any comments were submitted, staff will then read them into the record. Before I call for the vote, the petitioner may request a continuance in order to bring in additional documentation. The board may also request a continuance to gather additional information or for a visit to the site. Once comments have been heard, the chairperson will call for a vote. At that time, the discussion is ended. No further discussion is permitted. The board will generally make a decision today. If a variance is approved, the petitioner has 6 months to obtain the necessary permits or establish the use requested, or the variance will expire. The petitioner or any interested party also has the right of appeal to the St. Louis County Circuit Court. Paperwork indicating the board's decision will be mailed to the petitioners.
Alrighty. 06-24 McKelvey Homes is a request for an exception to the side yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a new single-family residence at 6538 Anna Grace Lane, maintaining a side yard of 4 feet in lieu of 5 feet as required by the R3 Residence District regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and PEU Ordinance 27,844. So Jim, like I said before, I'm going to request for you to unmute. And then Debbie is going to be the one really to present.
My name is Debbie Nesbitt. I'm with St. Louis County Department of Planning. The petition today is for a single-family residence on this property, and there is a county easement that was stated with the beginning of the subdivision, and the petitioner has requested to vacate 1 foot of the easement, which is currently in the county council to get approved. So we have submitted a staff report for this per Jacob Trimble, the director of planning. We have no objection to this request since it is actually only, I think, 3 inches that they need a variance for.
Okay. Are there any questions?
No questions.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
Of course, I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
Aside from the property owner, I don't see any hands. So at this time, I'm going to mute the property owner so that way the board can take a vote. And this is 0624.
Okay, thank you.
Just,
06,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, Angela. Just one question of staff. Is there any need for a condition on the request pending council approval of the vacation, or is there any thought on that?
No, there would be no condition that would be needed.
Okay.
You're fine, Jeff.
Okay. 06-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised.
I second the motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes.
07-24 LCRF LLC is a request for an exception to the parking regulations for the purpose of constructing a drive-through lane for a proposed Baskin-Robbins at 11782 Tesson Ferry Road, maintaining a setback of 11 feet from the abutting residence district in lieu of 20 feet as required by the C2 shopping district regulations and section 1003.165 off-street parking and loading regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. So Mark and Shannon, I'm going to send requests for you to unmute again just before you start speaking. If you could just state your name for the record, that helps us out a lot. Thank you.
Mark Doring, President, Doring Engineering.
Shannon Barker, franchisee of the Baskin-Robbins in question.
Please state your case.
Good afternoon. How you doing? Shannon, again, is the franchisee for the Baskin-Robbins. She's been in South County for many years. And I'm going to ask her just to give a brief description of her operation before I speak. Shannon?
This is Shannon Barker. This location has been in this community for almost 56 years. And just by doing my research, I just realized I've actually been working at this location for 28 of them. In April of this year, it'll be 20 years of me being the franchisee. So I'm very active and involved. And to be completely honest, we are out of space. If you've been in the location recently, we have one table with 5 chairs. We've had to push back our lobby before because we are out of space for our storage and for the amount of product that we are selling and going through, which is fantastic, but we're kind of capped out. Corporate will only allow us to make this move if we're able to get a drive-through at the next location, which will also help out because we have a lot of elderly people that really struggle with getting in here. We got a lot of moms juggling their babies and coming in to get cakes and juggling them out. That drive-through lane would just help out a lot. But like I said before, getting us just the space that we need to stay in this community, to be able to offer, you know, more things for the schools around here, like fundraising and things like that. That's kind of where we're at right now.
Thank you, Shannon. So on the site plan, actually Shannon's operation right now, the Baskin-Robbins, is directly across Highway 21 in the strip store that you could see on the aerial earlier. So she just wants to move right across here, keep her same clientele. I've been in that Baskin-Robbins many times over the last, I guess, 50 years in my case. It's very nicely ran, and we're excited that they're thinking about upgrading. So our site is the old Pizza Hut years ago, and I'm dating myself again, but I remember being in 8th grade and getting a pizza there with my girlfriend from Salem Lutheran School. So that's how old this parcel is. Again, back to the site plan, if you could, please, Gretchen. So the red line shows where, so we need to keep the existing building, and we need to drive through all around there. So we have to have the drive through come around the building so the drivers are on the left side of the car when they pull through the drive through. To do that, we need to have our drive through within 11 feet of the east property line there. And currently, this entire parcel is all pavement, okay? So even to the right of that red line is all pavement, and then there's a 6-foot site-proof fence between us and the adjoining neighbors. And also the adjoining neighbors' lots is very deep. They may be 160 feet deep, so the homes are pretty far removed from us. We are proposing to landscape that 11 feet, thank you, heavily landscaped to provide additional buffering besides the 6-foot fence in that area there. So We think it's a nice proposal. I don't see us having a whole lot of impact on our neighbors because we are pretty good distance from them. And if you have any questions, Shannon and I would be happy to try and answer them at this point.
Okay. And I see there's also a staff review of this case as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's my understanding, Gretchen, that the staff, I haven't seen the staff report, but the staff was supportive of this request.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quick question, just for clarification. On the photo we're looking at now, we're stating that there's no residential like building on the other side of that fence. It's all paved.
Here,
And
let me move to the aerial so
Okay.
that way you guys can kind of see.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So the microphone wouldn't be adjacent to the house. Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. That answers my one question.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner and the representative so that way the board can take a vote. And this is 07-24.
Okay.
07-24, based on the existing condition of the property, I recommend, or I make a motion to approve the requested variance as advertised.
Second.
Aye. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes.
08-24 Michael Air is a request for an exception to the side yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a shed and maintaining a retaining wall at 7316 Christopher Drive, maintaining a side yard of 17 feet in lieu of 20 feet as required by the NU non-urban district regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. Michael, I'm going to send you a request to unmute. And then again, just please state your name for the record and then feel free to present your case to the board.
My name's Michael Airy, and I am requesting a variance in order to place a shed on my property. It is new construction. So the reason I'm asking for the variance, and it, this is probably a good one to look at. The shed would be 17 feet from the side yard. The requirement is 20 feet. Now there's a severe slope along this side of the yard and farther into the back of the yard. I actually pushed the shed as far down as possible until, the slope just becomes really unmanageable. And honestly, you don't always know exactly how this, at least I didn't know exactly how this was gonna measure out when we did this. And the depiction here of the shed, it's actually turned 90 degrees. So we do have it going long ways rather than across, but we ended up with 8 feet to allow passage into the backyard, then the shed, and then I think I've said 18 feet here. It might be 17 feet. The adjoining property is the White House Retreat Center. This area of their property is entirely wooded, so I don't think it's gonna disturb anybody to have the shed in that location. And maybe that's it until you have questions.
Okay. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to clarify the hardship. Is the hardship based on the fact that the existing wall was there already, or is it because of the slope?
Well, it's twofold. To the left, towards the center of the property, we did build that wall, but that was built a while ago. The slope is really the hardship. Otherwise, I could just push it farther down into the backyard and kind of avoid that wall. So it's really the fact that that wall is there, that there's a slope, and I need at least 8 feet to get equipment into the backyard. So I can't push it closer to that wall and farther away from the side yard.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay. Justin, do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner so the board can take a vote. This is 08-24.
08-24, I make a motion to approve the variance citing the hardship of the existing wall and watersheds runoff for the slope.
Okay. I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The motion passes.
09-24 Sally Haywood is a request for an exception to the front yard regulations for the purpose of constructing a deck at 870 Hillsborough Road, maintaining a front yard of 20 feet in lieu of 50 feet as required by the NU non-urban district regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. So Jordan, Edward, and Sally, I'm going to request for you to unmute. Again, just because there's so many of you guys, if you don't mind stating your first and last name before you start speaking, that just helps us with the record.
Sally Haywood, co-property owner with Edward Stevens. Ed, do you want to state your name?
Okay, got it.
There we go.
I'm Edward Stevens, also the property owner.
Jordan Bennett, owner of Custom Decks and Repairs.
So we purchased the home in April of 2020 and applied for and were granted a variance of a 20-foot setback on June 17th of 2020. But that was the middle of COVID, so we did not pursue construction. The price of lumber went up, contractors were hard to secure. So this year, we reapplied for a building permit and we're requested to update the variance request. The house is set at an angle on the property, and the front southwest corner of the house is 40 feet 10 inches from the property line. When we bought the home, there were demolished, there were deck footings from a demolished deck indicating there was a prior structure about 25 feet from the property line. So that's to say that we're trying to replace something that was once there and had been removed before we bought the building. So the southwest corner of the proposed screen deck is 27 feet from the property line. And that same corner to the street is about 35 feet out. The proposed structure is about 10 feet in the air from the ground below the deck. And with the very steep grade, I believe we submitted a couple photographs, if those would be useful. But with the steep grade, the road is almost 30 feet below the basement slab. So all that is to say, we have a really steep drive, and then the deck is at the second level of the house. So it will be extremely high up in the air. So we, based on the prior variance, we invested in formal design and construction drawings and paid a deposit with a contractor. So we really pray that you'll reapprove the variance so we can proceed. Jordan, Ed, would you want to add anything?
I guess.
Yeah, Jordan Bennett here. We did submit some photos. I'm guessing you guys don't have them right now, but if you are standing at the mailbox looking up, it is a very steep driveway, and then there's some boulders there for landscaping, and then there were, like she said, two existing old piers, almost exactly where she wants to put the deck now. And then there's two doors to get to a deck that's not there anymore. So that's another big reason why they need some sort of a structure put in place, because there's those two access doors.
Okay. So is there is there an exit, a back exit for the house?
Yes,
Yes.
there is.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is Edward Stevens. But currently from the breakfast room, there's a pair of French doors that go out to nowhere because there's a 10-foot drop. And then there's also a 3-foot French door from the kitchen that goes out to this space with the 10-foot drop. And I really wish we had the pictures here, but
Debbie, did we ever receive those?
I recall seeing a picture of, I believe, Edward standing in the doors, but
yes,
I'm not sure why they didn't end up in the file.
Okay.
So that's my error there.
I mean, I do have a
Or
printed copy,
they,
but I can't really tell if I held the picture up, you guys be able to see it.
Yeah, it is really, really steep out there,
Yeah.
and the house is quite a distance up on the hill.
Like I said, I don't know if you can see this or not.
And just, Debbie, I think on that one slide, or maybe Gretchen, that one slide, the house doesn't even meet the current setbacks. Is that
That's correct.
That's
It's
correct.
40
That's correct.
foot 10 back.
All right.
The other thing is that we own 2 acres, and the property is about exactly middle of it's a long, thin lot, and we're in the middle. So we don't have neighbors for an acre in either direction. And then there's Hillsborough Road in front of us, and there's, there are no residences across the road. It's just
Very steep grade.
really steep grade across the road. So we're not near anybody.
And the person that owns the property behind us, his house is way up in the subdivision, but he owns the 5 acres behind him, which they found was pretty much unbuildable because of the slope on the grade on the site.
Okay. Does anyone have any more questions?
I don't.
Okay. I don't either. Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the property owners and their representatives so the board can take a vote. This is 09-24.
Okay. In the matter of 09-24, I vote to approve the variance as advertised. The hardship being the topography of the land around it, and also the need for exits, like a safe exit from the second floor of the home.
I second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The motion passes.
10-24 Walmart Incorporated is a request for an exception to the sign regulations for the purpose of installing signage at 3270 Telegraph Road, maintaining, and it's going to be 3 different signs. So sign A is an information sign for auto care of 18 square feet in lieu of 16 square feet. Sign B is an information sign for home and pharmacy of 32 square feet in lieu of 16 square feet. And sign C is a directional sign for auto care of 12 square feet in lieu of 10 square feet, as required by the C8 Plan Commercial District Regulations and Section 1003.168 Sign Regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance and C8 Ordinance 24,887. So Matt, I'm going to request for you to unmute, and again, just state your name for the record, and then you'll be able to present to the board.
Good afternoon. This is Matt with Zigman Signs. I guess what we're really requesting is not to consider these informational signs or directionals and just considered standard signage, because these are considered what is a standard sign for Walmarts all across the country. Hello?
Yeah, I mean, that's not what the variance is. I mean, you need to tell us why they need the size that they need. I guess would be my recommendation.
Well, being a standard sign, these are all pre-made. It would get very expensive to, and it's not a hardship, but this is how these are made, and they come to us. They're not separate sizes throughout the country.
Mm-hmm. So it's part of the branding.
I'm sorry.
So you're saying it's part of the branding for Walmart?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And this sits pretty far back from any roadway. Is that correct?
It is. And from an aesthetic point of view, if we were to drop home and pharmacy to 16 square foot, it would look pretty ridiculous next to grocery, which is about 16 square foot. I mean, it's more verbiage, so it's going to be bigger.
Okay.
And then there's a huge parking lot in front of you, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
We've already reduced the number of signs to go here per the request of St. Louis County, and this is what we're down to as far as trying to get the approval.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, some of our questions we have to base it on a hardship, so that's why we've had some of the questions we've had.
Oh, I get it.
And I see there is a staff report here too.
Yes.
Yes. So the home and pharmacy sign will be doubled, right?
Correct. And the other two are just a square foot or two
Right.
over 2 square foot each.
Okay.
Just to clarify, I think the intent in the proposed request is that the same height of the lettering stay the same for branding purposes. Is that what I'm understanding?
For branding and aesthetics, yes.
Okay.
If we were to drop that home and pharmacy to 16 square foot, it would look pretty out of place up there compared to like grocery and the rest of the signage on the building.
Okay. And I see the staff recommendation is for approval.
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I have no more questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time, I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so the board can take a vote. This is 10-24.
In the matter of 10-24, based on the scale of the building and the setback of the building to the roads and the visibility of the signs, I make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes.
All right, our last petition for you guys today is 11-24 St. Andrew's United Methodist Church, which is a request for an exception to the front yard regulations for the purpose of replacing an oversized signage at 3975 North Highway 67, maintaining a front yard of 1 foot in lieu of 50 feet as required by the NU non-urban district regulations of the St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance. And Mr. Hellman, I'm going to request for you to unmute, state your name for the record, and then you'll be able to proceed to present your case.
Okay. Thank you for hearing us today. My name is John Hellman with Ad Media LED Signs, and I represent St. Andrew's United Methodist Church in this case.
Okay. Please go ahead with your case.
Yes. Yeah, it's the way that it's worded, we're not necessarily reducing the entire sign, but the existing electronic message sign, which was approved by the board in 2013, it is non-functional. It's way beyond its life expectancy, and it hasn't worked. I live very close to this sign, and I would see it just going down constantly. And so it's beyond repair. So this new one, as you can see by the color illustration, where I compare the existing with the proposed, it's very close in area. It's as close as we could come without exceeding the current size. It's just slightly less than half a square foot smaller. Now, the existing EMC, as I mentioned, was previously approved 11 years ago in January of 2013. But the original structure, which I believe you can see on that black and white photo, this is the approved drawing from 2013. I don't know if you can switch to that. It should be there in the packet. But anyway, right here. Okay, go ahead. It's fine. Next. There is
That's all we have.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I had also submitted a photo of the drawing, a mocked up photo that was submitted based on the original sign, which was one of the standard changeable copy marquee signs. And I don't know when that was approved, but it was when they first put a digital sign in its place, it was very close to the size of the marquee sign that was there. And I can imagine that when the sign was built, I'm not sure what year it was originally approved in its original state, but you know, it was part of a large church and campus on a large property. That original church building has been there since 1975, almost 50 years old. And when it was built, there was not a subdivision to the east, as you can see in the aerial photo. And the building was in plain view of the Lindbergh traffic going either direction, North Highway 67, I should say. And so, but in that time, of course, the subdivision has been built up. And if the sign is not left where it is and put back further, it would be, they'd have a lot less time to view anything that's on the sign as they're going 45 plus miles an hour in the westbound or eastbound traffic. So that's why we're really wanting to keep the same setback and the same size, essentially just slightly under.
What subdivision is that by?
I can look real quick here.
Okay.
I think it's called Ashbury Meadows.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I see this church sign all the time. So that's why I was wondering, yeah.
Just to confirm, is the proposed new sign going to use the same footing base and
Yes.
everything like that?
Yes.
So we're just basically propose putting a new LED sign on the same footing?
That is correct.
Okay.
So was there a previous variance for the old sign?
Yes.
Okay.
The variance, you mean for the original?
Yeah, the original sign.
Yes, I just couldn't find the paperwork on it here, but I know they got a variance for it originally.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Staff question, is that something we need to confirm prior to making a recommendation, or is it, I think our recommendation would be proceeding going forward, correct?
Yes, they did receive a variance for the signage. I think it was in 2013.
Okay. I have no questions.
Quite familiar with this area. It's Lindbergh. They call it Highway 67, but it's Lindbergh, so it is a fast-moving street. So just so that you all know. Okay. Is there anyone here in favor or opposition?
I don't see any hands, so at this time I'm going to mute the petitioner's representative so that way the board can take a vote. And this is 11-24.
In the case of 11-24, I make a motion to approve the variance request based on the hardship of an existing expired variance and the exposure to the adjacent street.
I second it. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes.
All right, and that is all we had for you guys today. So all we need from you is a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
see you in 2 weeks. Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.